Let's look at this fraction right here. X plus 7 divided by x squared minus x minus 6.
So here's the big question. Can you unadd it? I mean, we all know how to add two separate fractions together, right? You find a common denominator, you combine them, boom, done. But what if you had to work backward? How do you reverse engineer this one single complicated expression back into its original simpler parts? Well, by the end of this explainer, you are going to know exactly how to do this. You'll understand the core concept, the universal formula behind it, and exactly how to apply it to real examples so you can tear apart literally any rational expression.
Think of regular fraction addition kind of like baking a cake. You take simple ingredients, flour, sugar, eggs, mix them together, find that common denominator, and bake them into one finished product. Now, on the flip side, look at partial fraction decomposition. This is literally unbaking the cake. We're taking that finished, messy rational expression and magically extracting the original raw ingredients. It's really just fraction addition in reverse.
Section 1. The Universal Toolkit. 4 steps to decompose.
Okay, so to unbake our mathematical cake, we need a solid plan. We can't just guess here. Here's your 4-step master plan that works every single time. Step 1, and listen, this is the absolute most crucial starting point. Factor the denominator. If you don't factor the bottom correctly, nothing else works. Step 2, set up your variables. We'll just use placeholder letters like A, B, and C for our unknown raw ingredients. Step 3, multiply everything by the common denominator to wipe out those messy fractions entirely. And finally, step 4, solve for those constant variables. Now, let's actually see this in action.
Section 2. Scenario 1. Distinct linear factors. We're going to start with the absolute simplest, most common scenario you'll run into. This is when the factored pieces on the bottom of our expression are just basic linear terms, and none of them repeat. The crucial thing to understand here is the structural setup. When your denominator factors into distinct, separate linear pieces, you just allocate exactly one constant variable, like a, b, or c, to the top of each individual factor. Notice how the denominator literally dictates the shape of our answer. The structure is already solved for us, we just need to figure out what those numbers on top are.
Let's make this super clear with an example. Say we've got 3x over the factors x plus 2 and x minus 1. Following our setup rules, we just split it apart. We put a over x plus 2 plus b over x minus 1. Now apply step 3 of our toolkit. Multiply the entire equation by that original common denominator. Watch what happens here. The fractions completely vanish. We're left with this nice, flat, easy-to-read equation. 3x equals a times x minus 1 plus b times x plus 2.
Now, if you've done some algebra before, you might be looking at this flat equation and asking, wait a minute, is there a shortcut here? Normally, you'd have to multiply all this out, gather your like terms, and build a whole complicated system of equations. But what if we just creatively chose our x values to make our lives way easier? Enter the Heaviside method. Named after the electronics pioneer Charles Heaviside, this is a brilliant trick. It shows how picking a strategic value for x can literally save you massive amounts of time. Look at the a term right here. It's multiplied by x minus 1. If we simply substitute x equals 1 into the whole equation, 1 minus 1 is 0, the entire a term just disappears instantly. Plug that 1 into the rest of the equation, and you immediately find that 3 equals 3b, which means b equals 1. No crazy algebra needed, just pick the number that zeroes out a factor and solve it.
Section 3, Scenario 2. Repeated linear factors.
All right, now that we've got the basic idea and our cool Heaviside shortcut, let's turn up the heat a bit. Because this is where a lot of students fall into a very specific and honestly very common trap. Pay close attention here. If you see a denominator factor that is squared, like an x minus 2 squared, you cannot just write one single fraction for it. No way. You have to account for every increasing power up to the degree of that repeated factor. So you build a term for the power of 1, add another term for the power of 2, and hey, if it was cubed, you'd add a third term for the power of 3.
Let's apply this to a real example so you can really visualize it. Check out this expression. The denominator has a lone x and an x minus 2 that is squared. Because of that squared factor, our setup has to expand to 3 total terms. We need an a over x, a b over x minus 2 to the first power, and a c over x minus 2 to the second power. Think of it like climbing a ladder. If you skip any of these rungs on the way up, your entire equation is going to collapse and you won't be able to solve it.
So linear factors are pretty manageable, right? Even when they repeat. But here's a crucial question to keep you on your toes. What happens when the denominator is a stubborn quadratic equation that simply refuses to factor any further? Like, what do we actually do then?
Section 4, Scenario 3.
Irreducible quadratics.
Welcome to the ultimate boss-level concept for this explainer. When you have a quadratic denominator that just can't be broken down, something like x squared plus x plus 2, a simple constant letter a on top isn't mathematically strong enough anymore. The logic here is all about balance. A heavier degree 2 quadratic denominator requires a heavier degree 1 linear numerator. So instead of just writing a, we have to use a linear expression, like ax plus b.
Look at how we set up this complex hybrid fraction. The denominator has a simple linear part, x plus 3, and an irreducible quadratic part, x squared plus x plus 2. We set it up exactly according to our rules, mixing and matching our tools as needed. The linear x plus 3 gets a simple constant a, but that irreducible quadratic, it gets the heavier linear numerator, bx plus c. From here, you just multiply by the common denominator to flatten it out exactly like we did before.
Now, you might be wondering, since that heavy side zeroing out shortcut might not easily give us b and c when we have these quadratics, could we just brute force this? Could we just set up a massive system of equations instead? And the answer is a resounding yes.
If you expand everything on the right side of your flattened equation, you can literally just group all your x squared terms together, your x terms together, and your constant numbers together. Then you directly compare them to the coefficients on the left side. For example, if the left side starts with 8x squared, then your x squared coefficients on the right, which are a plus b, must perfectly equal 8. The x coefficient on the left is 12, so a plus 3b plus c must equal 12. You see what we're doing? This creates an absolutely bulletproof system of equations. Sure, it might take a little more scratch paper, but it is guaranteed to work every single time to find your unknown ingredients.
Section 5. Summary. Choosing the setup.
Before we wrap up, let's step back and summarize the key takeaways. The actual algebra in these problems is really just basic multiplication and solving standard systems of equations. The true secret to unbaking the cake is choosing the right structural setup from the very beginning. Let's lock this in visually. Here are your 3 golden rules. Column 1, if it's a distinct linear factor, just use a single constant numerator like a. Column 2, if it's a repeated linear factor, you must step up the ladder, using a, b, and so on over increasing powers of that factor. And finally, column 3, if you face an irreducible quadratic, you absolutely must balance it with a linear numerator like ax plus b. Memorize these 3 setups, and you'll be able to successfully decompose almost any rational expression you encounter.
But to leave you with a final thought to chew on, what if you encounter a repeated, irreducible quadratic factor, say an x squared plus 1, that is then squared again? Think about it, how heavy does that numerator need to be, and how many ladder steps do we need to climb for that? Well, that is the exact puzzle we will solve next time. Keep practicing.